This is 7 News, the voice of the coast.
Good evening. Funding has been slashed for a critical suicide prevention program on the Coast.
Medical professionals and clients are devastated. State Labor has refused to finance the Wesley Mission Initiative. Liz Penny is in Coffs Harbour tonight with more. And Liz, why was this aftercare program so highly regarded?
Look, disturbingly, suicide is now the leading cause of death in Australia for people aged 14 to 44. This program gave intensive support to scores of people who had tried to take their own lives, helping them get back on their feet. Australia is in the grip of a mental health crisis. Levels of psychological distress are at an all-time high, especially on the Coffs Coast.
I do live with ongoing mental illness of bipolar 2, and things have just got really bad.
Don White was hospitalised following a suicide attempt in 2021 and then released back into society.
So we know that the time after someone has attempted suicide is a really high risk for up to 6 months.
Wesley Mission's aftercare program providing intensive one-on-one support, giving victims the emotional and practical support they need to regain normal functioning.
It could be connecting with family and friends. It could be getting out of living in their car. It could be helping them to get a job. It could be helping them to get back to good health.
A life-saving initiative for scores of people since it was launched 2.5 years ago. Ms White able to return to work and now playing a key role in the aftercare program.
I don't think I would have found my feet in the same way if I hadn't had a chance to go through that program.
Meeting an area of acute human need that local doctors say is chronically underfunded. Death from suicide doubling the loss of life from road crashes.
It's a shame, given such an effective program, proven to be effective, has not been supported.
State Labor backing down from a $123 million funding commitment by the previous government.
So the huge amount of funding that was going to be there for aftercare seems to disappear.
Leaving the Coffs Coast with no suicide prevention program over the high-need Christmas break. Liz Penny, 7 News.
The phone service Lifeline is always there if you or anyone you know needs support. You can always call 13 11 14.
Farmers in Murwillumbah are on high alert after 5 red fire ant nests were detected. And while an emergency biosecurity order is in place, the focus remains on eradication and not management.
A detection that didn't come as a huge surprise. 5 nests have been found in Murwillumbah as the pests march over the border.
We've been a bit fearful that the measures that have been put in place for the last 6 months haven't quite been adequate and that they've had some cracks in the system.
What it now means is farmers will have to obtain compliance certificates to move farm machinery. But it also has impacts on the entire community, from farmers to young children.
Because these things are pretty nasty things. It's important the whole community now realises what the potential impact for these fire ants is to our local region.
But the Tweed Shire Mayor believes border controls are adequate.
I think if you look at the size of the ants and the ways that they can be transported, they can fly within a radius of 5 kilometres. It's a very, very difficult pest to control once it's in an area.
She says the swift response will help minimise the impact on business and is confident it can still be eradicated.
I think that we will be able to contain this in the Tweed Shire, and I'm pretty confident that every measure was taken. I think it's unfortunate it has happened.
Urgent action is now needed, with New South Wales farmers leading the charge. They want a warlike response. Some say the $290 million allocated by the federal government won't be enough.
This potentially can kill people, this pest, so it's important that we act swiftly and we don't get to a management basis, we continue on an eradication basis.
It will, however, remain an evolving situation. Residents can gather more information by visiting a hub that's been set up outside council's offices.
So we need the community and those businesses affected to really to keep their ear out and be waiting for new information as it comes to hand.
Paul Jobber, 7 News.
3 people have appeared in court today over the killing of a man in Kendall last week. A 43-year-old man's body was found on Wednesday night. On Saturday, a 39-year-old man was arrested and charged with 3 offences, including accessory after the fact to murder. Yesterday, a 37-year-old man was charged with murder and a 27-year-old woman with concealing a serious indictable offence. All 3 will appear in court in the coming months.
Activists say more needs to be done for women affected by domestic violence on the Mid-North Coast. It comes after 16 days of activism against gendered violence kicked off over the weekend.
16 days of activism against gender-based violence started over the weekend, remembering the 54 women who have lost their lives this year, according to Counting Dead Women Australia.
It's a tragedy, and it's something that actually could be fixed.
The activism period runs until December 10. The Mid-Coast LGA recorded 583 domestic violence-related assault incidents between July 2022 and June 2023.
We will be back here again next year, and very sadly I know that we will be calling out the names of at least another 50 women who have been murdered by their partner or ex-partner.
Domestic violence advocates are calling for more to be done on the Mid-North Coast and Kempsey Shire. While they support the Labor government's 2022 initiative to build more specialist refuges across the state, they are disappointed by the choice in location.
The startling thing about all of this is that Tari, Kempsey, Foster, Gloucester, all the areas that this LGA services are not getting any additional services.
A spokesperson from the Department of Communities and Justice said that the first two rounds of core and cluster funding were obtained through a market-led approach, while the third round of funding will prioritise Aboriginal-led projects and in areas where there are access issues. As safe spaces such as work and school close this Christmas period, service providers say it's more important than ever to check on family and friends.
But unfortunately the financial pressure, the cost of living, the rental affordability, there's a whole range of stresses that families are going through that they haven't before, that's impacting on domestic and family violence.
Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
And if you or anyone you know needs support, you can contact 1800-RESPECT. That's 1800-737-732.
A decline in flight passengers to the Coffs Coast has prompted an aviation forum. Key tourism and industry drivers are now gathering to help boost visitor numbers through the airport.
Airport passenger numbers on the Coffs Coast have taken a dive.
Because we lost Tiger Air, we lost Virgin, and we've got a lot less people coming to the region. For us, it is reflecting in our occupancy numbers.
Rex Airlines reducing flight frequency out of Coffs to Sydney from 5 to 3 a day this year. Budget airline Bonza also pulling up stumps but continuing operations on the Hastings.
I know that people are driving to Port Macquarie and Ballina to hop on cheaper carriers than what we have at the moment.
Tourist operators beginning to feel the pinch.
When we look at Port Macquarie, they've got more competition on their routes to Melbourne. We've lost all of that winter traffic. We really need more air service here.
The rising cost of flights a deterrent to the average family unit, a traditional mainstay.
That when people look at a small weekend getaway, they want to get here quickly and they look at airfares and they just can't afford to do it. So we need that competition back.
A major thrust for today's gathering of key tourism and industry drivers, planning ways to boost flight passengers into Coffs by 25% to pre-COVID figures.
As capacity returns, as crews return, as airframes return, it's important that Coffs Harbour Airport is at the top of the list for the airlines, and they say that's the place we want to go and we want to go now.
The forum planning better promotions of Coffs Harbour's busy event schedules also calls to complete stored works on the Jetty Foreshores redevelopment.
Pretty tired. There's a lot of people living in caravans and in tents.
Liz Penny, 7 News.
A new initiative has been launched to teach boaters about the dangers of bad weather on the water. Operation Stay Afloat is a weekend compliance blitz where more than 300 boats have been checked.
A picture-perfect day on Mid-North Coast waterways, but marine weather is unpredictable and things can change quickly.
A lot of the incidents that have occurred, in the last couple of years weather has been a big factor.
This weekend, Maritime launched the Stay Afloat campaign, educating boaters on the importance of checking the weather before heading out to sea.
Storms can come up in a matter of minutes, so the idea is just to know what it's going to do before you go out.
Maritime officers have been checking life-saving equipment.
You said you went offshore, Swan. Do you have flares and that sort of stuff on board?
And speaking to boaters about the dangers of sudden changes in the weather.
Yeah, just keep checking it every day that it comes up, and then on the day you're going out, check it again. Make sure it's still good.
I use apps like Predict Wind and the Windy app to have a look at that, and then obviously I check it right up to the night before, make sure nothing's suddenly changing, and we're good to go.
Check if it's all clear,
no wind, and yeah, get out safe, wear your life jackets, check your tides.
It's also important to have a plan B in case things do start to change.
When the wind hit us, we just come back through the river and just, having a fish in here now.
As part of that campaign that started in the northern region this weekend, Maritime conducted 324 vessel safety checks, issued 25 official cautions and 5 penalty notices.
In addition, Maritime now have a dedicated North Incident Coordination Centre, a forward operating base for big weather events and compliance operations, with CCTV of all bars and boat ramps, as well as tracking and advanced radio communications. Samantha Crowe, 7 News.
Kirsty joins us now with a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, it was hot and muggy along the coast with a few storms about too.
Yes, that's right, Maddie. Nick, hello to you both and good evening, everyone. We saw some heavy downpours last night as well, leading to that humidity. 15 millimetres fell in Yamba in 1 hour, while the rest of the coast saw no more than a light drizzle. We had a few showers move along the coast this morning. Otherwise, it was mostly clear, and those skies remained clear throughout the morning as temperatures climbed well into the high 20s and the 30s. Isolated storms started to move through Kempsey, Woolgoolga and up towards Coffs Harbour around 1 p.m. with showers as well. We've also had storms in Foster in the south and up towards Evans Head and Lismore at around 5 o'clock this afternoon. Maximums for inland regions into the 30s for both Lismore and Grafton. A cloudy night on the forecast. Wet weather for the next couple of days. I'll have a look at that very shortly.
Thanks, Kirsty. We'll get more weather soon.
Still to come in 7 News, an experimental jail system without cells, soon to be rolled out across the state.
And a special visit for the kids at Warhope Public School.
And a little later on this news hour, the plan to keep an eye on released immigration detainees worth hundreds of millions of dollars. More prisoners exchanged on the third day of that temporary truce in Gaza. And over 100 protesters charged after overstaying their welcome at our largest coal port.
Warhope Public School students had a special visitor from the sky today. The Westpac rescue helicopter called in as the service celebrates 50 years.
A sight never before seen on the Warhope Public School playground. The Westpac rescue helicopter coming in for landing. The students treated with the special appearance as part of celebrations for 50 years of the service.
To see all the school kids and their faces, see a helicopter coming in, has always been a proud thing, a luxury of the job really, to come and just show who we are and what we do.
As part of the event, pilots and crewmen spoke to the students about the life-saving work that they do.
If people need help, they go and rescue them.
They normally just come around, go to accidents like in the bush or somewhere where emergency service can't reach them.
Some of the students even won a chance to sit inside the helicopter as part of fundraising raffles.
It's awesome, and there's stuff on it that I didn't know that there was on helicopters.
It is very cool and very awesome.
The experience even giving some of the kids inspiration for what they'd like to be when they grow up.
A pilot.
You'd like to be a pilot now?
Yeah.
The service is very close to the school's heart, with one of their own Year 4 students, Macklin Slade, transported earlier this year.
Knowing that one of our own students was airlifted by one of these, so, you know, it's great for the school to be involved with the Westpac Rescue Helicopter.
Samantha Crowe, 7 News.
An experimental jail system without cells could soon be expanded across the state. The prisoners are granted unique privileges, which guards say has created a drop in assaults between inmates.
Behind the wire at a maximum security jail. This is inside the Macquarie Correctional Centre in Wellington, where convicted murderers, violent offenders and drug dealers aren't in cells. Instead, they're living in dormitory pods.
Maximum of 25 inmates into one unit, no cells, and we have a very effective structured day routine.
A routine which includes working in woodwork, hospitality and engineering units, also receiving training in courses from music and computer programs to art. Privileges they are afforded if they abide by a no-violence policy, with inmates who conduct any acts of violence towards other inmates or staff being transferred to another facility.
So we have very few assaults as a result of that, which creates a good positive culture and environment for us to work in.
While there is no data yet that measures whether or not this model reduces reoffending, those inside the facility say its positive impact on both staff and inmate safety has been significant. Born 6 years ago in one of only 2 rapid-built prisons in the country, the privileged model is set to be rolled out into a number of the state's correctional centres, including the Hunter, Lithgow and Long Bay.
No, I don't think it'll work for every prisoner, and I think that's just being real. But for those that do want to sort of make a change to the direction that they were heading in, this model certainly will work for those. There are other offenders that just aren't ready to take on this concept.
The innovative approach to incarceration, all designed to prepare inmates for life on the outside.
Residents or community members could feel or little rest assured that the person that gets released from here is actually equipped to deal with the demands of society and actually fit in as your neighbour next door without sort of having a negative impact.
Hamish Southwell, 7 News.
Still to come in 7 News, Port Macquarie attempts a world record paddle out.
And a 4-time endurance world record holder reflects on his latest success.
It's been just over a week since David Alley became the fastest person to kayak the length of the Murray River. Now he's back home in Pottsville, taking some much-needed time to rest and reflect.
2:41, Thursday, 16th of November. Here he is.
He's become the quickest man to kayak the length of the Murray River. And David Alley has had just over 7 days to reflect on his monumental achievement.
The body's recovered really well, so I've been really happy physically. Mentally, I've been tired.
Alley achieved the record in 15 days, 11 hours and 23 minutes. Doing it all without his entertainment source after he lost his phone on day 1 after capsizing. Battling headwinds and fatigue, it was a journey like no other.
We had times where we pulled over onto the edge of the bank and literally laid down in the dirt and went to sleep for half an hour and set an alarm, and we got up.
Now a 4-time ultra-endurance world record holder, Alley says he can't get enough.
After the bike ride in 2011, it really became who I am, and look, I love the challenges. I love leaving my comfort zone. That's huge for me.
Pushing himself to perform at his best, Alley hopes he can continue to inspire others to achieve their goals.
People that I've worked with, from as young as 7 up to I've had clients in their 80s, and they've all got different goals, different things they want to achieve. And watching them start from scratch and build through, and I guess build that self-belief is a huge thing for me. And
looking to what's next, Alley says spending time with his family is his #1 priority.
Look, they've sacrificed a lot, my family, for what I do, and I've missed a lot of weekends, I've missed a lot of events due to my preparation, and now it's time to give back to them.
Hannah Hartup, 7 News.
Hundreds of surfers hit the water in Port Macquarie on Saturday, attempting to break the world record for the largest paddle out. With 643 paddlers, the group had the numbers to break the record of 512, but sadly the conditions just didn't allow for a handhold for 30 seconds, which meant narrowly missing out on that world record. The attempt was only 39 people off breaking the record for a paddle out without a handhold. The event was all part of the Love Thy Neighbour campaign, which is in memory of Zach Young, who was sadly killed by a shark 10 years ago.
Still to come in 7 News, your local weather forecast with Kirsty. See you in a sec.
Good evening. We are expecting wet weather across most of the state this week thanks to 2 weather systems linking up. A trough is stalling around the northeast of New South Wales, while tomorrow a low pressure trough will move into the eastern states. These systems are set to merge, generating widespread and potentially significant rain before moving southwards towards parts of the southern coast into the weekend. We are expecting accumulated rainfall totals of well over 100 millimetres, particularly over central and southeastern regions. Severe storms could develop develop, bringing isolated heavy rainfall totals, though, with riverine and flash flooding possible as the week progresses. Parts of the mid-north coast already have a severe storm warning in place this evening. Tomorrow, we're expecting early fog for the mid-coast ahead of some patchy cloud cover. Showers are expected during the day. Some intermittent rainfall about the mid-afternoon and into the early evening, along with that chance of thunderstorms. There is a chance those storms could become severe over the inland, including regions like Grafton. Temperatures mild, the high 20s and low 30s, with up to 20 millimetres of rain. On the waters, a northerly wind for Byron Bay, a swell around 3 to 6 feet, increasing in the south. Sea heights about 1 to 1.5 metres. As we track into Wednesday, tomorrow's chance of severe storms is likely to strengthen. We could see possibly severe weather developing across the entire eastern seaboard, with a risk of damaging winds, large hail and heavy rain. Up to 7 millimetres of rain under partly cloudy skies. But if we see those isolated totals, we could see much heavier rainfall. Strong winds also forecast across the day. A quick look at Thursday, much clearer and more settled towards the end of the working week. Temperatures in the 30s. Clearer skies after a couple of days of unsettled weather, guys.
Yeah, plenty of rain about, Kirsty.
That's right.
Thank you.
And that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can catch up on our website or, of course, 7plus.
Right now, Dan's got your national news. Enjoy your night, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.